tell them suckers to move. I ain't in the mood. Got me with the crew, let me do what I do. I tell them suckers to poof. Got me in the booth, lobby in the truth, let me do what I do. Yeah, remember when the U come through, enter the music jungle. Or back with the block, I used to rock, I used to rumble. I still rock down, drop the ball when I run through. I drop the classic shit, you drop the ball, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the OnlyFights podcast. My name is Manny.
This is Alberto.
Yes, sir. We had a really good weekend of fights, both in boxing and in MMA. Really starting with the Bellator card, but I couldn't really catch most of that. I saw that Velasquez got the win and remains champion.
Yeah, you showed me the clip of the Mitrione fight.
Oh yeah, yeah, the headbutts.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah. If you want a good laugh, go check out the Mitrione fight. He wasn't too happy about headbutting his opponent.
Yeah, that guy's like a super veteran. He's been around for a while. I know he's been with the UFC for years.
Yeah, that was 2 fights in a row. 2 fights in a row.
That was really funny. The guy's like landing punches on him, and he's going headbutt.
Yeah, literally getting ground and pounded it, not worrying at all, not defending himself, but he's like looking at the referee like, hey man, I got headbutted. And
he was complaining about it like to the end of the first round, like the whole first round he was complaining about it.
Yeah, I forgot about
Wait, did he get the, oh no, he ended up tapping, right? He tapped
he tapped out, I guess he felt like.
It must have really affected him.
You know, yeah.
It must have really affected him.
Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, moving on to the Showtime card.
Yeah.
Starts off with Mackachev Vidal versus Vidal Aleem.
Yeah.
That was a really good competitive fight.
Yeah, I was it was really good. I never seen either guy fight, but it was entertaining for sure.
I thought the story of the fight, basically, I'll just run through it real quick. Aleem was more active, and I honestly thought he did win more rounds, but Vidal did land the harder shots. It kind of reminds me a more familiar fight would be Lara versus Canelo. Mm-hmm. That was a fight that a lot of people dispute the decision, and people say that Lara deserved the victory, and the people would defend Canelo by saying, well, he landed the harder shots, and that's kind of what this fight reminded me of. So I wasn't too mad at the decision, even though I did favor Aleem to win it.
Aleem was the Jamaican guy?
Something like that, yeah. He came in 18-2, now 18-3, while Vidal remains undefeated, 13-0. And then the co-main, it was only a 3-fight card, well, televised anyways. The co-main, Rolly Romero taking on Anthony Yigit, 13-0 with 11 KOs coming in was Rolly, and Yigit was 23-2 with a draw. You know, not much to say about this fight. It wasn't too competitive. Rolly was
kind of sloppy,
very sloppy, very dirty.
Yeah.
You know, he was using his elbows. I think he cut him. He left the cut with his elbow, and he slammed him during one of the clinches. And then I think the referee called for a break at one point in another clinch, and he hit him on the break. So he was deducted a point, but it didn't matter because he stopped him in what was it, the 7th round, something like that.
I think it was almost right after he got the point taken away, right?
I believe it was the next round. Yeah,
he got the point taken away, and I think he knocked him down, and then it might have been the next round then, but I think he knocked him down right after he got the point taken away.
Yeah, I don't think he's ready for any of the top guys in his division, which is 135. Light heavyweight, so we're talking about guys like Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko and them.
Yeah.
I think even Ryan Garcia would be a pretty big step up, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind the fight because these young guys got to fight each other.
Yeah, for sure.
And decent victory. I don't want to take nothing away from him, but I don't see him too ready for that top spot. Yeah. We had a really, really good main event. Great fight.
Really good.
It was a great fight on paper, and it was a really fun fight to watch. Jermell Charlo, 34-1, coming in taking on Brian Castaño, 17-0 with one draw to Errol Lara. That was a controversial draw. A lot of people thought that Castaño won that fight, and Errol Lara is obviously one of the top dogs at 154.
Yeah.
So this is for all the belts. This is for undisputed.
Undisputed.
And we made a really big deal. A lot of us boxing fans, you know, who aren't too big fans of having 1,000 world titles, were happy that we were going to get an undisputed champion by the end of the night, and that didn't happen because the fight ended in a draw.
Kind of controversial.
What do you think?
It was my first time watching Charlo fight, so I think I was expecting, like, I don't know, I think I was expecting a lot from him. So, you know, he wasn't super active and, you know, very early. And I think that's what it was. Like, even if, like, you know, Castaño, I thought, like, he might have not been landing, like, a lot of punches, but I think the volume just made it seem like he was winning, or like he was controlling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the volume, I think, was the key.
Charlo is definitely a slow starter, and he doesn't have the best work rate in all his fights. That could be why he lost. That is actually why he lost to Tony Harrison. He did eventually avenge that loss with knockout. But coming into this fight, he didn't really do anything in the first round. Hurt Castaño in the second round, and right there I thought it was about to be over. I was like, okay, this fight isn't gonna last much longer. Castaño then rallies back in the third and fourth round. I think it was in the fifth round where Charlo starts to fight back. It seemed like every time all Charlo had to do was step on the gas, and Castaño couldn't do a damn thing.
And get off the ropes.
Right? And he seemed, I don't want to say lethargic, but
a little bit, like he was just kind of waiting.
If you didn't know that this was for undisputed, you would not think that he was fighting for undisputed.
Even his corner was telling him almost the whole time, like, dude, you're giving away rounds.
Yeah, and look, he's known for that. But, you know, kind of like a Wilder thing where, you know, he'll let you win rounds knowing that he could knock you out, and maybe that's what he thought.
Yeah.
You know, Castaño's no joke. I mean, he's easily the toughest person Charlo's fought thus far.
I think they said that's the most he got touched, right? That was the most
he's got touched.
Charlo ever got hit.
And Charlo was getting rocked in some of those rounds. He didn't seem hurt.
I think that's the big difference, that he didn't seem hurt at all, even though he seemed to get hit some hard punches.
He did come on strong in the later rounds.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to notice, because a lot of people did think that Castaño won this fight.
Yeah.
A lot of people, you know, I think they booed the decision, and they booed they cheered they booed Castaño when he came into the ring and stuff, and when he was getting announced before the fight, and they cheered him afterwards. So that, you know, that kind of tells you how they felt about it. But when you really look at like the story, like, you know, he clearly lost I believe it was the second round, Castaño, and then I think he lost the last 4, and you can make an argument that some of those middle rounds could have went to Charlo as well. So I'm not too mad at the overall decision. One of the judges had it 117 to 111.
The one that gave
to Charlo, and that's only giving Castaño like 3 rounds. That I have a problem with.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
But you know, I'm not mad at a draw. I am mad at not getting an undisputed champion.
Yeah.
But I'm not mad at a draw. Another thing that fans weren't liking about Charlo is when he was being interviewed and they asked him about the rematch. He wasn't like, yeah, let's run this back. He was kind of like, well, we'll see. Talk to Al Heyman.
So even the guy had to remind him. He goes, you know, this would be for undisputed, right?
Yeah, exactly. What was that? Farhood or Jim Gray? I'm sorry. Yeah. I love Jim Gray, man. I think he's a great, you know, like reporter, and you know, I like the way he handles it. And, you know, once he brought up the rematch, you know, that's when Charlo was like, all right, I'm you know, he hit us with the SpongeBob meme, man. He was like, all right, I'm going to head out. And he didn't really want to do much talking after that. So then we go to then he interviews Castaño, and Castaño was all for the rematch. In fact, he had a translator, and they was doing all the back and forth English to Spanish translation. And then when he brought up the rematch, he was like, nah, give me the mic. He was like, yes, I want the rematch. And
he's like, I know what that means.
Yeah, so you know, I think that pretty much says, you know, morally who won.
Yeah.
In terms of that, but like I said, I'm not mad at the draw. I thought it was a pretty good call.
Yeah.
And probably should have put money on it, but
yeah, I think looking at it, a lot of people probably think that Castaño won just because of the volume, like, but he wasn't landing a whole lot. Like, you know what I mean? He would do a big flurry against the ropes, and he would land maybe one hook out of like 10
right.
or something.
And you know, like you mentioned, with Charlo never getting hurt that much.
Yeah.
Even against somebody like Tony Harrison, you know, a lot of people probably thought, you know, that's probably why. But you know, I mean, he didn't lose. You know, he didn't lose. And like I said, that's why I brought up the Lara decision, because, you know, now it's looking like in his 2 biggest fights with his 2 biggest opponents, he should have won, you know, allegedly to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But he got the draw instead. So, you know, I'll tell you one thing, man. His stock went up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people didn't even know who he was before this fight. And I can't wait to see him again, you know, as well as Charlo. So hopefully it would be a rematch.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, I think this is helping boxing out too. That the whole, like we were saying, like the belts before almost didn't mean much, but now like the thing to do is to be undisputed.
Yeah,
and that's cool. That's really cool. Every time there's an undisputed fight, you're like, oh shit, like we should watch that.
That's why we need those. That's why
that's definitely gonna help.
That's why Mr. Caleb Plant needs to get that fight with Canelo, man. I think Canelo's team said that they have an announcement to make, and I believe we're gonna get that announcement this week. And the rumor is that if it's not Caleb Plant, he'll be taking on Triple G for a 3rd time. And
for the trilogy.
I gotta say, I'm not really interested in that grudge match.
What do you think happens this time?
Dude, I think Triple G gets knocked out. Yeah. If not knocked out, stopped.
If you look at where they're at, like from where they fought, like Canelo's only keep going up. You know what I mean? And Triple G, you could tell, is winding down.
One of the best fighters I've seen with like the worst resumes. It's kind of sad, because it's like, damn, bro, you really could have been the man. I mean, he was the man. He was the man for a long time. For like a decade, he was champion, and there was a like nobody wanted to fight him. You know, this was like when Miguel Cotto was still active, and Sergio Martinez and guys like that.
I feel like that was before Triple G was really famous. You know what I mean? Or, you know, more known.
Yeah, he was. I always thought he was pretty fit. He had like a Manny Pacquiao thing with the barely speaking English type charm, and you know, he was, you know, he was fan friendly too, you know, with the knockouts, but he just didn't get the fights, and you know, could have fought Andre Ward, but that was a little steep, you know, for people to demand that fight at 175, but. Yeah, you know, it's kind of a shame when you look at his career. On the plus side, maybe you can use that argument to say, well, he's not over the hill yet.
Yeah.
He didn't look really good against his last good opponent, which was Sergey Derevyanchenko. A lot of people felt like he shouldn't have won that fight. But, yeah, like you said, man, Canelo's only gotten better, stronger, fighting 2 divisions higher. And if they do fight, it would have to be at 168, which Triple G never fought outside of 160.
How old is Triple G?
I think he's 40. And I think by the time they fight, he'll probably be 41. Today's Canelo's birthday.
So he probably just turned
Happy birthday, Canelo.
He probably just turned 31? Canelo?
31, yeah. Yep. If that happens, yeah, Canelo might just go to the body a million times, and I don't think Triple G can handle that. And I think we'll probably see like a 8th round stoppage or something like that.
Yeah.
You know. But if Caleb Plant does take the fight, and that's great, because that's undisputed, unless the fight ends in a draw.
Yeah, hopefully it happens.
Yeah, that would be in September.
I think it will. I'm sure, you know, Canelo seems to be winning a fight so much. Like, I can see him like announcing both fights and shit. Like,
well, yeah, because he's gonna fight in December as well, I believe. Yeah, and that'll be 4 fights in a calendar year. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Is that it for boxing?
For boxing? Yeah, for the Showtime card.
All right, and then we watched it was kind of at the same time. We were watching the UFC Fight Night.
Yep.
A couple of the prelims. The first heavyweight fight I thought was pretty good. Rodrigo Nascimento and Alan Badeau. Heavyweights.
Yeah.
Badeau came out strong in the first round. Was like really putting it on him, like on the stand up and on the ground. It really seemed like he was gonna win the fight. I think that the other guys survived to the second round, and it looked like Alan Badeau just kind of gassed out and just didn't, you know what I mean, like wasn't doing much, and Nascimento just put it on him. It was crazy, like complete turnaround, and got the finish, got the TKO in the second round.
Yeah,
that was pretty crazy.
It was just one swing in momentum, and that was it.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It goes to show like the cardio you gotta have for heavyweight.
Oh yeah, anybody could win with just one shot. So, or change things.
And so many guys live and die by the one shot, and then if they don't get it, I mean they're fucked.
Yeah, and that's what makes it interesting. A lot of times.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that guy was ranked or not, but I think I've seen him fight before. The Nacimiento guy, he seems real good. Like he's one of those guys that looks like really big and out of shape, but is like super technical. Like another one of the prelims that was really good, the Amanda Lemos, and she fought some other chick Ruiz. I don't know how to pronounce her first name, but that ended it in I think it was 35 seconds TKO first round.
Yep.
That was pretty impressive knockout. Amanda Lemos hit her once. She got wobbly. She went forward again, hit her again, and she just went limp. And it's like she hit the ground and bounced right back up. Right? She bounced right back up. Got like in her fighting stance and then just started like backing up. Like it was funny. But the ref stopped it right as soon as she hit the ground. Like the way she went limp, like he just stopped it right after that. I think it was a good stoppage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
that strawweight. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that was the one where the post fight interview. She needed a translator. Her translator was like some promoter.
Oh right, yeah,
remember?
He was going in,
and she was like talking real nonchalant, just like answering questions. And every time they put the microphone on him, and he'd just be so hyped, like, yeah, I want this person. Like he was like
little 80s WWE promos with Macho Man in them.
He was going crazy. He was so hyped. He did like twice, and oh man, that shit was pretty hilarious. Derek Lewis tweeted like afterwards. He was like, there was like a meme. He was like, she didn't say all that. It was funny. Yeah, I never seen her fight. I think she's flyweight, so the flyweight division for the girls is pretty stacked right now. Strawweight, yeah, that's what I meant. That's 115, I think the smallest.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, it was good. That was a couple of the prelims. The main card, the first one was Gabriel Benitez versus Billy Q.
Billy Q, yeah, that was a good fight.
Yeah, I think that was fight of the night for sure.
Yeah.
Billy Q, I think, dominated most of the fight, but they were definitely both banging. Like they were both hitting each other hard.
Oh yeah.
Gabriel,
especially that second round.
Yeah, Benitez had his moments in the second round. They both had moments all the way around. Benitez's eye got almost closed pretty much. The ref checked on it like the second round. They stopped, to have the doctor check it.
Benitez was that was right in the beginning, I believe, when he was just slammed. Right, he was kind of scooped up and slammed.
Yeah,
and then took some shots. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was a fun fight. He got beat up pretty good in the first round, and then at the end of the third, Billy Q got the stoppage TKO. He had him in the body triangle, and it was just landed punches from behind, and the guy couldn't get out. And he was hitting him right in his eye. I think that's why it was mainly stopped. The next one was the Jeremy Stevens and Mateus Gamrot. Everybody was looking forward to that one. Everybody thought that was going to be like a really entertaining fight. Jeremy Stevens is known, like knockout artist.
Yeah, he came in at
he's always fun to watch.
28-19. I'm sorry, 28-18.
Yeah, he's been around.
19-1 for Gamrot.
Yeah, Gamrot I think is the up and comer. He got the first round submission, I think in a minute or less than a minute. Got him making a Kimura, got his arm behind. Yeah. Went for the takedown right away, got him, and had him from behind, and was fucking cranking his arm behind his back.
Yeah.
And he tapped. That was pretty crazy. Another American top team guy. Those are like that's like the gym that's like taking over right now. Like they have Dustin, they have this guy, they have Amanda Nunes. They got like a bunch of the top fighters right now.
Did you see Nate Diaz tweeting Poirier to fight him at 185, and Poirier's with it? That might be something.
They were supposed to fight one time. That fight was scheduled. That they even had like a face off. That's why they have that picture of them. And then I forget what happened, but it got canceled.
When was that?
That had to be like 2-3 years ago.
So it's good that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Then, because it's much better to happen now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Do you think Poirier takes another money fight before the title fight again, like he did last?
Yeah, because I think he can beat. Well, what weight is he fighting at now? 155?
155, but he doesn't want to. Like, I think he's made it clear that he doesn't want to keep fighting at 155. He wants to go up to 170.
That might be a move then. I mean,
because the third Conor fight, he wanted it at 170, but the UFC wanted it at 155.
That'd be some crazy shit if you can make him tap.
Who?
Nate
Diaz. That'd be a good fight. I mean, I mean, it's crazy. Dustin's one of the best fighters in the world right now. Like,
Yeah.
He's a bad motherfucker.
Show.
Yeah, so Jeremy Stephens got submitted first round. The co-main, the return of Miesha Tate. Wasn't sure what to expect.
Tate.
Wasn't sure what to expect from her. You know, she's a veteran. She was around the fucking. She fought Ronda Rousey like 2 or 3 times. Like,
yeah. I think first time I seen her was when she beat
Holly
Holmes.
Yeah,
that was a long while back, and I seen her again. I can't remember, but I seen her like 2 fights. So I didn't know what to expect either, but
yeah, I think she had a 4-year layoff. She had a baby. I think it said she was still breastfeeding, like even like up to now.
Oh wow!
Like I don't know how long ago she had her baby, but it said she was still breastfeeding.
Well, she made pretty easy work of her opponent. Marion Renee.
Renault. Yeah, she was like a veteran. I think they said she was 44 years old.
44.
That's
crazy.
But
how old was she when she started? Wasn't she like 30?
Yeah, remember they said she started late. She was like 36 when she started or something.
I think that's crazy.
Yeah, I think she got in the UFC at 36. It seems like she has a couple big wins, but never got the title shot.
Yeah.
I think it was a good first fight for Miesha Tate to get in there. Because like we've seen it so many times, even when Conor, I think that was Conor's fault not being active. You know what I mean? Like how that like everybody kind of jumped over him.
Do you think you think Miesha Tate would be ready for Amanda Nunes at some point in the future?
Maybe in the future, but definitely not now. Like Miesha Tate looked good, like I think like against this chick, but like when I was looking at her, I really just was like, man, she looks a little like I'm thinking about her fighting Amanda, so I'm like, yeah, she looks a little slow. Like she can definitely she kind of had kind of had her hands down the whole time, like had kind of a weird stance, and I was like, I don't know if that's gonna fly with Amanda. And she's a wrestler though, you know what I mean? Like that's how she controlled this fight, you know what I mean? She was also outstriking her, but every round she got a takedown and was ground and pounding her. I think she, cut her. The girl was bleeding pretty good. So yeah, her ground and pound is pretty serious. I don't know, we'll see. Like I said, those if you look at it, like taking 4 years off, and you look at Amanda's the one that beat. So Miesha Tate beat Holly for the belt. And then Amanda beat Miesha Tate for the belt, and Amanda's had the belt ever since.
Right.
And Amanda's been super active. Like she's defending. I think she's defended both belts at least once, maybe twice now, or is going on twice defending both belts. Well, that's crazy.
So you think a fight with Miesha Tate, a rematch with Holly Holmes would be?
I would really like to see that. I think that's the fight. Like if Miesha wants to get to the. I mean, if she's smart, she probably takes one more before Holly. But the Holly Holmes fight is what gets her to the belt quick, for sure. Holly's, she's one of those veterans that like a win over her, you automatically get put up there.
That'd be a nice plan. How old is Miesha Tate? Do you know?
I think 33, 34.
Yeah, that's a good plan. And take another, a little harder fight, then rematch Holly Holmes and make that official.
Yeah.
And then, get that get back with Nunes, and I'll root for her.
Yeah, I think Holly kind of called her out afterwards, posted something about the fight, and pretty much said that she would love to get that loss back, and pretty much said like in the tweet kind of like, she was like, you can be dominating a fight and it be taken away from you like in a minute. So pretty much insinuating that she was winning the fight, but then got taken down and choked out. Holly's a fighter though. I love that clip of her getting choked out because her instinct is like to throw punches. You know what I mean? She's like because she goes out. She doesn't tap. So instead of tapping, she's getting choked and she just starts throwing punches. And you can see her arms go limp. It's pretty cool.
I've seen a really old clip of Holly Holmes when she was, I believe, kickboxing or something before like UFC and stuff.
Yeah.
And man, she was getting like mollywopped, bro. She was getting pounded. It was crazy. It was like that's when I knew, man, that chick, she could take, like, man, sometimes like the threshold for pain on these women, it's crazy. It's like, you gotta respect these women, man. They can get punched in the face, and I don't know if y'all ever got punched in the face by a woman, but that shit still hurts, man. Like, it's not like. So I salute those women, man. They be putting on some scraps.
Yeah, for sure. Especially her like having a baby now, coming back.
Yeah, that's too.
That's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, that was good. It was a good fight. And that was also the retirement fight for Renault, which I didn't really know until right before the fight. They said that she announced her retirement, win or lose. So like you said before, that's kind of like if you have a foot out the door like that, That's not really the best mindset you want to go into
the
fight with.
You have your mind might not be on the fight. Your mind might be riding on sunset.
Yeah, definitely. She's definitely thinking what she's doing after this. Like, oh, this is the last time I gotta do this.
Word. That's not the best attitude.
Yeah. All right, and then the main event, the Islam Makhachev, the protege of Habib, versus Thiago Moises. It was a good fight. Islam's like really heavy. Everybody's just like expecting this guy to be like the next Habib, pretty much.
Yeah.
But he has similar style where he's not very. I feel like we only know of him because of Habib. Otherwise, we wouldn't really probably know his name yet because his style isn't the most entertaining. Like Habib. Habib really, it was Conor that really made him. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like people loved watching him. And Habib talks really highly of this guy. He says, he said in a recent interview that he thinks that he could finish Poirier now.
Wow.
You know what I mean? He's like, I think Poirier might be mad if I say this. He's like, but I honestly think that he'll think that Islam could finish him right now.
And is he mostly like a jiu-jitsu or grappling Mackachev?
Yeah, like wrestling, like what's they called? They do sambo. I don't know. It's like a style of wrestling that the Russians do.
Okay, and is that what Habib was doing?
Yep. So they have the same exact style. Obviously, he's not planning to try to strike with you. Like, I think in the first round he was like trying to strike with the guy, and his corners told him like, "What are you doing? Like, I mean, like you are way better at one thing than this guy."
I was actually that's why I brought that up, because I was actually pretty impressed by the striking. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a ground game type of guy. But I think he landed 76% of his strikes throughout the entire fight. And I was like, that's not bad for somebody who's not known for being a striker.
He's kind of got that weird like boxing style like Habib too, where like they like the way they move their head back, it almost looks accidental, but they're so good at that. You know what I mean? Like, they're so good at getting right out of the way, like their head movement. Cause they both have such big heads. Like, you would think it's so easy to hit them, right? Like, it looks like it'd be so easy to hit them in the head, and they just like they're really good at kind of moving their head back.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing I know in boxing, man, sometimes, like, I believe it was, it could have been a couple of those guys, man, but Joe Louis, he had this style where, I mean, he would move his head, literally, he said all you need to do is move it an inch, just an inch, that's it. And so, you'd be surprised how little movement you'd need to do. I mean, I don't know how well that would translate in the sport of MMA, where there's a lot more coming at you than just punches, but, I mean, I was really impressed.
And Thiago Moises is like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so everybody thought this was gonna be like everybody wanted to see the big grappling exchanges. You know what I mean?
There was a lot of
the
that.
Russian wrestling versus the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is I think it just comes down to like pretty much power versus like technique. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The
guy did good though. Like Thiago Moises, he fought the takedowns well. He got taken down I think every round, but was doing pretty good defending and stuff. Like, he knew what he was doing. He wasn't getting destroyed, even though, he was getting controlled pretty much. And Islam just weared on him. Just like every round, like Thiago just lost a little more every round. And then the fourth round, he finished him, finally got his back again. And I think he had a rear naked choke and made him tap. It was it was impressive. He called out RDA, a Brazilian fighter who was, I think, in the top 10. That's the only thing I haven't seen this guy really fight anybody at top 10. I think he's ranked 9th now, and Moises was like 14th. And Moises is like a younger guy. I think he's like in his mid-20s. He's still like up and comer, guy with a lot of potential. Islam is more in his prime now. I want to see him fight, somebody better. I want to see him fight more competition. I think he also called out in the post-fight conference. He called out the new guy, Michael Chandler.
Okay.
I would like to see that fight. Like that's a big step up. That would definitely get him a title shot if that's what he wants right away. Which I think is what it is. Khabib said that their plan, Khabib's father was both their head coach, Islam's head coach too, and he was saying that Khabib's father's plan was always for Khabib to be champ and then Islam come like right after him and be champ.
Nice.
And it didn't really happen that way yet. But that's their plan.
That's dope. I like that. it's a cool story. I mean, even just them showing where he lived.
Oh yeah.
And all that, you know.
In the fucking mountains of Dagestan.
Poverty that makes our ghettos and hoods look like freaking luxury, man. It's insane what these people come from, and the time that they come from. Like, this isn't like 100 years ago, man. This is 20 years ago.
And I think they still live there. Like, they said Habib, like, I'm sure he's like, you know, revenated his house and shit, but I think he still lives there. Like, they all still live in those mountains and shit. Like, wow. That's just crazy.
That's awesome, man. That's how you know, like, they very prideful people, man. And
hell yeah.
You gotta respect people like that. That's a lot of people, they get that money and they forget, and, you know, forget where they came from.
Yeah, those guys are super humble. It's always
that's beautiful.
It's always easy to root for them.
Yeah, even and you know what? Even I forgot to mention after like the fight, just I was really touched by the sportsmanship. You know, like just how two guys can scrap all fight, try to beat each other up, try to basically kill each other, and you know, as soon as it's done, it's like, hey man, thank you for the opportunity.
That's definitely one of the best parts. That's definitely one of the best parts of the sport.
Yeah. And it happens all the time, but at the same time, you just gotta enjoy that. You know?
It's almost like a little more in MMA, right? It's almost like a little more warlike. I feel like where like
brutal,
they really,
man. It's
right.
I mean, like
sometimes in boxing, you still see the guys could be a little bitter after.
And you know, I'm always like a boxing over MMA guy, but I mean, you know, it's not hard to see what's the harder sport. I mean, if I had to like box a boxer or fight with an MMA fighter. Dude, I'm boxing, bro.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know, I don't know. I don't want to get slammed to the ground. My arm
it's just totally
twisted and you know, kneed in the face. Nah, bro, I'm good, bro.
and it goes both ways. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to make the transition either way, either from boxing to MMA or MMA to boxing. Like there's a lot of people.
Absolutely.
MMA people think that they're like, oh yeah, you know, boxers can't do MMA, but MMA fighters can go into boxing.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good segue into our next topic.
Yeah.
Which is Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley, an MMA fighter making his transitioning into boxing and doing it against the YouTube sensation, the Mad Child, or Problem Child, whatever his name is. You know, the guy who boxing fans are either love or hate, right? Don't it seem like people either love or hate him?
For sure.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the guy. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with anybody who's willing to get in the ring and fight.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not exactly a fan, but I'll tell you what, I am interested in the card simply because, well, I am interested in that fight a little bit. But they actually have a pretty good co-main event in women's boxing. Amanda Serrano taking on Yamile Mercado.
Yeah.
For I don't know if this is for Undisputed, but they both have belts. I believe I don't think it's for Undisputed. I think it's for 2 or maybe 3 of them, but not for all 4. But you know, it's
that's how they get there.
Amanda Serrano is Puerto Rican, and Mercado's Mexican. So, you know, the rivalry is there. They're both young. They're both in their prime. As I stated, they're both champions. Amanda is 41-1, but the draw and the loss came very early in her career. She has 30 knockouts, which I think is very impressive. You don't see too many knockouts in women's boxing, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
With Mercado being 18-2 with only 5 knockouts. So, yeah, that should be a good one. To 10-round, 2-minute round fights. That's how women's boxing is.
Yeah. And
I just found out on the undercard that there's gonna be Montana Love is gonna be on the undercard. Most of you might not know him, but I met him. He was on the undercard of a fight that I went to, a very small fight. I heard he was one of Adrian Broner's guys a couple years back, and I was like, I didn't know if that was true. And then I seen his ring walk and his attire, and I was like, oh, he's definitely an Adrian Broner guy. And he's from Cleveland. That's also where Jake Paul's from. That's where this fight's going to be at.
Where did you see him at? Where was that fight at?
This fight took place in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. Like I said, it was a really small town fight.
Yeah.
I can't even remember like the names, but Montana Love did score a very brutal, I want to say like 2nd or 3rd round knockout. Actually, I think corner threw in the towel. It was pretty bad. If you go on his Instagram, you can see a video of it, and there I am in the background ringside
Oh,
with my Eagles Super Bowl champion shirt. I was getting mad compliments, and I'm like, oh word, I'm not even in Philly. But yeah, so I mean, you know, that's he doesn't have an opponent yet. It's not announced, but
yeah. When's that fight?
This is actually on a Sunday, August 29th. It is Showtime pay-per-view. I don't think it's gonna be
Shit.
you know, full price. But the day before that, David Benevidez takes on Jose Uscategi, and they don't have an undercard yet. But that fight alone, I think, is going to be a good fight. Uscategi has been in some wars with Andre Dirrell. He, if for those that remember, he fought Andre Dirrell in the first fight, kept hitting him after the bell, when the round was over, and it got to the point where they disqualify him, but when he was after the fight, he was in his corner, and Dirrell's trainer snuffs him. You know, I mean, he just boom, like fist to jaw, bro.
I think I saw that clip on Instagram.
Yeah, he got arrested and everything. It was really
Why did he do that?
Because he was mad at him he kept hitting his fighter after the bell.
That's right.
And everybody kind of knew that Andre Dirrell. Everybody kind of knew he was selling it, the pain, and he was faking it. So he got the victory. They ran it back, and Uscategi won. That gave him the belt at 168, and he loses to Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant gave it to him, 12-round decision, pretty unanimous. And so now this is a pretty good step-up fight for David Benevidez, who did fight Andre Dirrell, and in a fight that he got touched up, man. He won by knockout, but he stopped him. But he got touched up, and Uscategi is a better fighter, I think, than Dirrell. You know, I believe he's Mexican, so you know, he has that. You know, they're both Mexicans. You know, that'll be. I think that's gonna be a war, man.
Yeah.
I think Benevidez will get the stoppage, but I think it's gonna be a war. So that's gonna be like a double, not you know, 2-day event if you want to look at it.
Is that
way.
Showtime as well?
That's Showtime. I don't believe that's pay-per-view though. And if it is, it's probably gonna be a deal type thing. Where
Yeah,
you
I
buy
thought they would do it both. I was really surprised to see Jake Paul sign the deal with Showtime, but you know, obviously, I think that's really smart on his end.
Well,
like that really shows that he's trying to take this more serious. I think. Like,
I'm more surprised that Showtime signed a deal with him. I think once they saw the whole Logan Paul versus Floyd thing, and then the whole gotcha hat thing, I think it was kind of like, hey man, maybe he'll fight Floyd
just in case, right?
You know, if he keeps, that's probably what they're gonna try to do. I don't know if Floyd's gonna do it. Not like he's scared, but you know,
I don't know if Floyd takes that one.
It's just like, you know,
why?
It's getting crazy
Why?
now. You know, if Jake Paul, I want to say this for those that criticize him, I will defend him on this. He doesn't have an amateur background. He doesn't really have the experience that most pro boxers, they start when they're kids, literally like a single digit age. Or at least teenagers, like
and they usually have like long amateur careers.
Amateur careers, and you know, this guy is I mean, do this. Go to boxrec.com or whatever website you use, and go and look up your favorite fighter, and who is he fighting in his third fight? You know what I'm saying? I mean, besides like Vasily Lomachenko,
nobody.
You know, like most people who by the way had a crazy amateur career, most people, you know, don't really have a notable name until they're at least like 10 fights in.
Yeah.
So for this, listen, man, it's actually kind of genius what he's doing, because like I said, man, I do think that in terms of like difficulty, I think boxing is the slightly easier sport to learn and to participate in. You know, and it's also more rewarding in terms of money.
That's why they're doing it. I mean, it's kind of sad, right? That like Tyron Woodley and like Ben Askren, all these guys are getting their biggest paydays doing these fights.
These sideshows, right?
You know what I mean?
But this is the thing, right? So Jake Paul, he's boxing because it's more money, but he's calling out, UFC fighters because they have a bigger name. They're easier fights because these guys don't know how to traditionally box.
And I think it's harder to unlearn the things that they are. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing for them.
Oh, yeah.
It's harder to unlearn everything they have to unlearn than it is for them to learn boxing. Like, yeah, they can box. Like, I'm sure Tyron Woodley could box, but I think it's going to be hard for him to unlearn all the other things, you know what I mean, that comes with MMA.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He's training with some pretty good guys. I can't remember off the top of the head, but I know he's training with Floyd Mayweather. Yeah. So, you know, learning from him.
I think they said he was at Wildcard. Isn't that what's his Freddie Roach's gym?
That is Freddie Roach, but I don't remember hearing about that. I mean,
I don't know if he's training with Freddie Roach, but I think they said he was training at Wildcard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean that could be. You know, this is entertaining to me. Yeah, I'm good at separating real from fake. You know what I'm saying? So as a boxing fan, this does not bother me, man. We've had fights like this. You know, I mean, Muhammad Ali took on some martial artists, you know, back in the 70s, and that, you want to talk about boring fights, man. That was 15 rounds of some guy laying on the ground trying to bait Ali in. Ali saying, "Get up and fight, sucker," and they're just like, I mean, you want to talk about a snooze fest, man. That was 15 rounds of boring, and it ended in a draw. Yeah, I think you had other fights, like I think you know, other crazy weird fights. You can look them up, man. George Foreman had those 5 fights in one night.
So Jake Paul's last fight was Ben Askren. No, he fought somebody.
No. It was Ben Askren, right? Yeah. It was first it was some YouTuber, then it was Nate Robinson, then it was Ben Askren. And now it's Tyron Woodley.
Yeah, every time he announces his next opponent, I'm like, dude, this guy's a genius. Like, he's picking them perfectly. Like, picking Ben Askren was genius, and then picking Woodley next is the same thing. Like, you know, it's more competition, but this guy is like on. You know, I mean, I think he's coming off like 4 losses. You know, I mean, he's been knocked out like the last 2. And I think Jake Paul's bigger than him. I think when I saw them standing next to each other,
he's much taller and obviously going to have a reach advantage, which is a lot more efficient in boxing.
I think they have to start making Jake Paul cut weight too. Right? Like, I just feel like that's almost like an unfair advantage he has, that he's never had to do that to his body. As like other fighters have been doing that for years. Yeah, like that's like another advantage I think he has. Like Woodley, like they probably weigh close to the same weight, but Woodley would fight to 170. He would drain himself down to 170 to fight.
Yeah, well, I think they're gonna fight at like cruiserweight, which would be like 190.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But I'm not sure how.
I don't know if Woodley's gonna be that as fast as he is, that heavy. You know what I mean?
That's true.
That's what I'm thinking.
How old is Woodley?
He's got to be getting up there. He's got to be like in his mid-30s, I would say. Mid-30s.
Mid-30s? I thought he was a little older.
Maybe a little older. He might be like 38.
He said that he wants to start a boxing career. Yeah. So that's another reason why I'm interested in this, because, you know.
Well, I think he got dropped. Well, not dropped. I think, the UFC released him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Jake Paul made fun of that a lot. Did you see the wager they made?
Which one? I've seen a couple.
They made a wager, so whoever loses
tattoo one
has to get "I love" the other person's name tattooed on them and posted on Instagram. And they shook on it and everything. So I was like, Tyron, you better freaking win this fight, man, because Jake will do it. I mean, he's a weirdo. You know what I'm saying? He's the, I'm gonna start calling him the Post Malone of boxing, bro. Like,
but I do think, like, as much noise as he's making and stuff, I do think that if he loses, this is all over. Like, I think it'd be like, I don't think people would want to see him fight again, or I don't think he's gonna get millions of pay-per-views.
Yeah.
If he loses,
you're right.
I think the second he loses,
steep fall.
Yeah.
Whereas, so yeah, a lot of people are expecting Tyron to lose, and so if he doesn't.
I really don't know what to think.
I don't know who has it worse. I really don't, because, Tyron, like, a lot of people look at him like, well, you're a real fighter and you were dominant and you were champion. And, yeah, you lost your last few fights, but they were the really good fighters and, this, that, and the third.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can't lose to this YouTuber. Everybody's going to look at him like he's a YouTuber, man. But, I mean, if he beats him, I think we can call him a fighter,
No, yeah, I think he's definitely a fighter. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the Showtime thing was kind of big and kind of like impressive. Like, I think he wants to fight more like fighters. I don't think he's gonna be fighting. I think he's definitely more serious than his brother, than Logan Paul.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's the younger, wilder brother, whereas
and I think he wants to take the boxing career a little more serious.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what to think about that one. Like, I'm gonna be rooting for Woodley, but
I think we all are.
But anything could happen, really. And it's definitely helping boxing. You know, it's not like he's. I don't think it's like bad for boxing like some people think.
No,
I don't think it's bad, but I do think that if he loses this one, it's gonna be all over.
I'll tell you one thing, man. In the Floyd versus Logan Paul fight, they had, who do they have on the card? Luis Arias take on Jarrett Hurd, and Jarrett Hurd was the favorite coming into the fight, and Luis gave him a good fight. You know, I was worried that the judges were going to be on some BS because I knew that a lot of casual fans were probably watching, and potential fans, not casual, I'm sorry, but like people who don't really watch boxing, you know, but potential fans. And I said, oh man, if the judges get this wrong, then this is just going to add to that narrative of why boxing is dead and all that stupid stuff that I hear. But they got it right, and I was really happy for that. So, hey, man, like I said, if that fight generates enough interest, this David Benevidez and Jose Uscategi fight, then I think fans are going to be in for a real treat, as well as this, even if they don't tune in the night before, but if they tune into at least the co-main, they're going to see Amanda Serrano and Yamile Mercado. I mean, these are two high-volume punches. And like I said, Puerto Rican-Mexican rivalry, plus it's females, you know what I'm saying? They freaking scrap, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is not only good for boxing, I think it's just good for combat sports in general. I mean, this is a UFC guy, or a former UFC guy. If he wins, then that's good for them.
I think Dana White hates it. Dana White wants nothing to do with it. But
you know what? He can hate it all he wants. It's helping his brand. People are talking about his fighters or his former fighters. I mean, this all helps each other, man.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, the fight game is the fight game. You know what I mean? They have to compete with. You know, I mean, how many people you think didn't watch the fights last night because of the game? The NBA game, you know, NBA Finals, and then once college football comes back, once football, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's a really hard sport to compete with these other leagues that are much more efficiently ran, and especially here in America, being that these are worldwide sports, boxing and MMA. People forget that, especially boxing fans.
And I think even when they have fights like this on the same night, I think that helps both of them too. Like, I don't think it hurts either one of them really. Like,
yeah, because we were able to watch both main events without
like real fight fans are gonna find a way to watch them.
Yep.
Like,
yeah,
especially now.
And that's happened before. I mean, you know, it was kind of stupid when DAZN made us wait that Canelo and Kovalev. They were sleeping before the fight. That was nuts. But yeah, I mean, if they time it right and do these things right, especially with Top Rank and UFC, because they're both ESPN. So I know that they're out here, you know, Tetrising that shit, man. Like,
I mean, it worked out perfect, right? We watched the boxing main event, and then like right after, I think the UFC main event started.
And that wasn't even ESPN. So
yeah,
you know, it was Showtime.
Yeah, that was
beautiful
good night of fights.
Night of fights.
Did you see what Conor was saying about there was an interview, I don't know who did the interview, but there was an interview with Conor's head coach, and I love hearing him talk. Like, he's really, you know, he breaks things down like really, really good. Like, he broke down the fight pretty much. He said where he thinks that Conor broke his shin on a front kick. He threw a front kick like up, straight up, and it hit Dustin's elbow. That was like right before he stepped back. He hit his elbow. He put his foot back down, threw the punch, and then when he stepped back, that's when he broke it. And then Conor came out and said that he had stress fractures in his ankle or in his tibia or whatever before the fight, and that everybody knew. He said UFC knew, Dana White knew. I guess it just wasn't a big enough deal for him to pull out of it. I don't know. Conor's really good at like controlling like his narrative.
Right? Yeah.
But it's really starting, like, as much as I want to believe it, like, now, like, I think most Conor fans are now like, man, this is just like, it seems like more excuses like every time. I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what to think. I mean, it seems like fighters just keep coming out with excuses nowadays, and it's getting a little tiring, but at the same time, it can be true. So,
and at the same time, Conor's fighting Dustin Poirier, who's, you know, I mean, arguably the best lightweight in the world right now. So if just because Poirier got his number don't mean that, you know, I mean, he's done or anything. Even though, you know, he is older. Dustin's obviously more in his prime, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to see that fourth fight. Yeah, the next fight night next week, is Corey Sandhagen and TJ Dillashaw. That should be a really good fight.
Ooh, yeah, that's
Dillashaw's
nice.
coming back after 2-year suspension
Right.
from testing positive for EPO. I guess it's like a type of steroid.
No bueno.
That was when he cut. Remember, he fights at 135, and he went down to 125 to fight Triple C, to fight Henry Cejudo for the belt, trying to become double champ.
That's right. I remember that. He got knocked out, right?
Yep, he got knocked out quick. And that's the fight that he tested positive for. And he came out and said afterwards that the reason he did the EPO is because his body responded so bad to the weight cut. You know what I mean? Like that he was draining himself to get down to 125, and he had like no energy, and he pretty much had to do that to get through the camp and shit. Which, I could respect him taking full responsibility for it. Like, he didn't put it on any of his coaches or anything. He actually went out and said that none of his coaches even knew about it, which I don't know how much of that I believe. I think it was good that he got it out of the way and talked about it a lot. You know what I mean?
Word. Well, just a big fight announcement, which we've touched on in the last episode, but just want to remind people, Manny Pacquiao taking on Errol Spence, August 21st, in Vegas.
Spence was at the fight last night, right?
I didn't
hear what he was saying, but
yeah,
I'm sure they were asking him about it.
He looked really funny. He always looks funny. He kind of looks like JJ from Good Times, man. He has this character look, like cartoonish look about him.
Yeah.
And he just kind of kept looking at the camera, looking at the reporter,
yeah.
and I don't know, man. BC, that's his name. I was Brian Custer, and being interviewed, man. He's such a, I don't know. He's boring. Like he's always just, Manny Pacquiao, when you fight him for the title, we'll see with my manager. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, man, how they bigging this guy up so much to be such a, I mean, he's a fun fighter to watch. Don't get me wrong. I love Errol Spence, man. And I'm looking forward to this fight, man. But, he's so, like, lethargic, man. Like, but nonetheless, man, he's going to take on the legend, Manny Pacquiao. Oh, yeah. And I cannot wait for that. 62-7-2 with 39 knockouts, man. 8 division champion. Spence is undefeated at 27-0 with 21 knockouts. Holding 2 of the 4 major belts in the 147-pound division. I'm not sure if Pacquiao's getting his belt back. He had a belt in the press conference. I don't know what the hell that was about. Mm-hmm. But they're saying that he's not getting it back, which just further complicates undisputed at 147, which has been one of the most lit divisions since Mayweather, and actually before that, man. So
if Pacquiao wins, where do you think this puts him? That would be the upset, pretty much, right? Like,
you know what? People are not even. I think they're giving him a pretty solid chance to win. I mean, he's looking good in training, and the man just. I don't know, man. He might just be one of those guys, like a George Foreman, a Bernard Hopkins. These guys that could just fight in their 40s and close to 50.
Yeah. He's in his 40s? He's like 40-something, right?
40. He'll be 43, I believe.
Damn,
for this
fight.
Crazy. Yeah. And mind you, it's not like the guy started late or anything. The man has been fighting since he was like 16. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he started at like the minimal weight class. He was like 4 feet something. Yeah. He could barely make the weight. He had to, and just, grew into his man strength and made it all the way to 147 pounds. And now he's taking on Errol Spence, But if you just look at Pacquiao's resume, you look at who he's fought, man. It's just like...
He's fought everybody, yeah.
It's almost like, Errol who? You know what I mean? Like, and that's no disrespect, but it's just like, dude, he fought, he had 4 fights with Marquez, and he fought, Mayweather and Oscar. Oh man, Cotto. Yeah. Margarito. Mosley. I mean, the only person he didn't fight is Canelo, man. Yeah. And one thing I want to say is, in 7 losses, you can argue at least 2 of them. With Tim Bradley.
Oh yeah, he got robbed. Yeah.
And Jeff Horn. Remember that one?
Oh, man.
That was a bad one.
That was a really bad one, yeah.
So, really, I think his record should be 64-5, but whatever.
And it took Marquez, what, like three 3 times or 4 times to beat him?
4 times. I did. You know what? Actually, if we're splitting hairs, man, I thought he should have lost the third Marquez fight. So we're not even gonna edit the record. You know, I love Manny Pacquiao, man. We share the same first name, so shout out to you.
Yeah, Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is always one of my favorite boxers.
Yeah, he a lot of people, man. I have one of his T-shirts, you know. So I might, you know, and who knows, man? He might get blitzed, man. He might get beat up.
Yeah.
You know, with younger Errol Spence, and that'll be really sad to watch. But I'm looking forward to watching it regardless. It's always fun to watch Pac-Man in the ring.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And once again, that is August 21st. It'll take place in Las Vegas, Nevada. I believe they don't have a venue yet. So,
Errol Spence is the one that was in the car accident like a couple years ago or something?
Yeah,
and he hasn't fought since then, right?
No. He fought Danny Garcia.
Oh, that was after that?
Didn't take a tune-up fight. Fought Danny Garcia. Gave Danny Garcia his hardest fight. I thought Danny Garcia fought better than he did in any of his losses.
Oh, yeah, I think we might have watched that.
Yeah, and Spence, you know, he's a great boxer, you know.
Yeah.
And after this, I hope we finally get to see him fight Bud Crawford, because I'm not, as a fan of Crawford, I'm not liking the route his career is taking, kind of like what I was saying about Triple G earlier. You know, but there's rumors of him leaving Top Rank. If he does that, I don't think he has a choice. I think he has to go to PBC. He has to get these damn fights with, you know, any of those guys, man. But it has to be, we got to see him against Errol Spence, man. That, you know,
and I think it has to be soon, right? Or it's gonna be like the fucking
he's
Pacquiao Mayweather thing where they fight too late.
Yeah, well, those are the two. I believe those are the two promotional companies that were, you know, that were the reason why we couldn't get that fight, which was PBC and Top Rank, and that's what this is. It's funny, man, but we got the Wilder and Fury fight. That's PBC.
What is it though? Is it like the splits that they don't want to agree on? Like, is it they don't want to see their fighter lose? Like, what is it between the promotions that they just don't want to make those fights happen?
Well, like I said, there's always been friction between Bob Arum and Al Heyman, which are the owners of PBC and Top Rank. So that
little personal issues too.
Yeah, it's you know, and Bob Arum has been in the game for like a million years.
Yeah.
So, you know, he doesn't care. I mean, like, point blank, if you kind of just look at it, like, bro, you made Fight of the Century with Muhammad Ali, or, you know, he had a hand in that. And you know, you've made some of the biggest fights in Top Rank. I believe he was responsible for, like, you know, Hearns and Hagler Hearns, and, you know, a lot of the Sugar Ray Leonard fights, and you know, he don't care. He don't care what happened no more. You're probably right. He probably just wants to milk these guys for all the money he can make. And I don't know if Terrence Crawford doesn't see that, or if there could be something completely different. I don't know. I'm not in those meetings. But, you know, I think...
I'm sure it's hard to complain when you're still making millions of dollars.
That too. And, you know, it's not like Terrence Crawford. I like his victory against Mean Machine. And that's why I'm glad to see Mean Machine taking on Virgil Ortiz. I don't know the date off the top of the head, but that's going to be a good fight on the zone, and that could be a potential opponent for Crawford and these guys as well. Errol Spence, all these guys, 147.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got also Jared Ennett's boots. So 147 has some up and comers, and it's still going to be a lit division, and that's that.
The only other thing I got for UFC is the next pay-per-view, 265. That's going to be Derek Lewis versus Cyril Gane for the, what's it called, interim heavyweight.
Yeah.
Which I don't really understand why they're doing the interim already. It's like, I guess they wanted Francis Ngannou to, you know, defend in August, but I feel like he just won it this year. It's not like it's been, I think it's maybe only been 6 months or something. So I thought it was pretty weird, kind of weird that they're setting up an interim fight. This might be a boring fight if, you know, Derek Lewis doesn't get the knockout, which we know he can get it in any round.
Yeah.
But other than that, Cyril Gane is like real technical, but he doesn't take a whole lot of risk. Like, he doesn't put himself in danger. I can see him being champ one day, but his style is not super entertaining.
And Amanda Nunes is on that card, right?
Yep, Amanda Nunes defending against Juliana Pena. Don't know much about Pena. I think she's from Venezuela, so I always cheer for the Hispanics, but
nice.
You know, Amanda might probably most likely will just run right through her as well.
Yeah.
But that's all I got for UFC.
Cool. Well, I think that wraps up episode 2.
Yep.
Thank you once again for tuning into the OnlyFights podcast. My name is Manny.
This is Alberto.
And we out.